Again, and I stopped. I got in the middle of it. Geez, me. My password is Taylor Sunderhouse. That's number 1. Okay, well, I can change the password. All right. Okay, if you're listening on Facebook, this is meteorologist Steve Horstmeyer. Just got in the building. Had to take care of some issues with my wife, who had a broken hand and had surgery and had to get a special brace made for it. So Ethan Emery was nice enough to sub for me during the 5 and 6 o'clock shows, and I made it here in time to do the 7:15 weather. I was just going to come in and tell Ethan I was taking off the rest of the night, but I didn't think that was fair. So, okay, let's take a look at this while we're setting up the rest of the weather computer. Give me a second. Crap. Okay, and what you're looking at is you're looking at downtown Cincinnati. It's pretty dark on this camera, but you can see the river flowing. It's so high, but it's on its way down. 18 degrees at the International Airport, and we are in for a cold night. Ethan, what do you have in the forecast for tomorrow morning's lows?
11 degrees, wind chill values in the single digits.
Okay, and this morning was 10 degrees, so if you like this morning, you're probably going to like tomorrow morning. All right, so let's see. And I've got hat hair because I just walked in the building. Sorry about that.
Tie's off now for me.
I like that beard, by the way.
Thank you. It's been so cold lately. It's been kind of nice not to have my face quite as cold.
I've been asked a number of times, what kind of a fashion statement am I growing, with this, hair here? And I said, it's nothing to do with fashion. Anybody that knows me know that fashion and I have a very contemptuous relationship. Fashion doesn't get along with me, and I don't get along with fashion. I just like clothes at work. But this is all because of keeping my chin warm when I used to ride my bike to work on winter mornings.
Yep, you're zero.
Yeah, right. So that's that. But and so nothing big coming our way, right?
No, nothing really big in the forecast. The big thing is, I guess, the warm-up. Talk about 50s by Monday.
Good. We need that. Although, you know what that brings on? It brings on muddy season version 2.
Yeah, I was going to say, for the dogs going out to go to the park and everything else, just muddy paws for days.
Well, and the thing for us is after my wife broke her hand, that we usually take turns walking the dogs, and then that occurred at the same time we had these other snows, so it was either too cold or too snowy in the morning, and then my wife couldn't do it, so the dogs haven't walked, and we can't even go to the dog park because Otto Armletter, the access to it goes underwater at 42 feet, and most of the dog park itself is underwater at this point. So.
Yeah, and not even just that, but I don't know if you've seen Anderson Township. Ohio 32 is shut down basically from Newtown all the way to 125.
Well, and you know what? I wanted to look at this because one of you've got the bike trail around Lunken Airport, and you've got the connector that connects the Hamilton County Parks and 50 West area and that to Lunken Airport. And I was wondering, because I've looked at the maps, and I think you've got to get pretty far above flood stage for that bike trail to go under. But because I don't know if you've never ridden, it goes down by 32 and then back up. So I'm wondering. I've got to look.
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know.
I don't either. If I hadn't been so busy and my wife hadn't broken her hand and things like that, I would have gone and checked it out.
Well, considering that 32 was shut down, not too far from that, I would assume that it probably is inundated to a certain level.
Well, the lowest part of 32 is lower than the bike trail, so I don't know where that fits. Eventually, it's going to go under. Okay, so what we have here then, let's. You don't have to leave.
Well, I just wanted to get the view of the city.
He wants to go home, is what he wants to do. I don't blame you. You've been here a long day, and you're off tomorrow, right?
I'm off tomorrow. Yeah, it's been kind of a week with everyone's schedules, but
yeah, it's been
glad to hear that you're feeling better. Glad to hear that Catherine's feeling better. I'm thankful that I haven't gotten sick.
Well, I went out to the news director and I went out to interview a potential new meteorologist, and I'm not going to say where we went to eat, but we all had the same thing except that I had something extra with mine, and I got to the 11 o'clock show that night. I thought, oh man, I've got to get home or else I'm not going to get home at all, and I was up all night, just. And so I think mine was more food related because nothing leading up to that it made me feel bad. And as soon as I got past it, I felt good again. So I'm thinking I had a touch of food poisoning, but I won't mention where we went to eat. So and then Catherine's husband got sick, then Catherine got sick, and then of course Catherine has 2 kids that go to daycare, and kids are like germ carriers. I mean, they bring them in from everywhere.
Little petri dishes.
Right.
I will say, very thankful for us to have Jeff Creighton here on the Fox 19 team. Cause,
I keep threatening Jeff that we're going to throw him an unretirement party. So
he actually emailed me earlier. He's like, "Are you working again for Steve? What happened?" But he was just watching and noticed that. But no, had it not been for him on Tuesday, there's a chance I probably would have worked.
And I've done that in the past, and it's no fun. Nobody should have to do that, even in an extreme emergency. But with Creighton and I worked at another station for years together. And then as soon as I had the opportunity to bring him over here, we did.
Creighton's a very knowledgeable guy too. I mean, he knows so much. The story I did with you guys for the March 2nd, 2012 tornadoes. I mean, you two, just like encyclopedias back and forth.
Well, it was great because we were sitting there. We were all in early in the day, so we knew there were sort of long track tornadoes that were eventually going to get here. And we're looking at the stuff that was just north of Louisville in southern Indiana. And Jeff has got a great sense of humor, although he wasn't joking about people having tornadoes in their backyard. But he goes, "Oh, look, somebody's having an awful day down there," And actually, the tornadoes looked like a bear claw. And they were coming our way, and we finally, it was getting close to Carroll County, the edge of our viewing area, and there were no warnings or anything else, so we just said, "Nah, I can't wait," and we went on the air. And we were on the air when the first warning came out from the Weather Service, but it was one of those days. But what I like about Jeff is the same thing I like about you. You guys know what you're doing with radar and all that. And if I'm up there chroma key doing stuff, you either just move it to what I need to talk about, and Jeff did the same thing, or you'll say, "Hey, look, we got to look at this." And because I've got a narrow perspective when I'm up to the chroma key, I'm looking at this particular storm, whereas you can look at in a wider perspective at other stuff that we need to know. So yeah, it was great.
Yeah, and to kind of segue, we don't have severe weather in the forecast. I know we've had some folks asking about that because we are looking at warmer conditions,
right,
and there are some rain chances. So I can understand folks maybe being a little bit, antsy about it.
Right, and I've been talking when we go over the extended forecast, and then I've been talking about, hey, it looks like it could be a pretty wet, active early March.
Yeah.
And
it appears to be the case, yeah.
Right. So, and just because it's wet and active doesn't mean severe weather, but that's a possibility, but nothing's showing up right now.
Yeah, and it looks a little too cool right now in the 14-day forecast for that, but certainly active. Now, these levels I have updated for 6 or 7. This was at 5 o'clock.
Okay, but they've only come down a couple inches. So notice that.
There we go.
Okay, notice the Ohio River. I tell you what, why don't I just make it full screen and nobody's in the way. The Ohio River is falling upstream and in Cincinnati, still above flood stage. Actually, it's what do they call it?
Minor flood stage.
Okay, so it's minor flood stage there. And it's about crest. Now, it's been at crest. It was at crest last night when I did, was it last night? When did I work last? Jeez, it was last night.
It was last night.
Yeah, last night. When I did the show last night, it was at 50.9 feet. Now, did it ever make it up to flood stage there?
Nope, not the Markland lower. No, it's been 50.9 for at least 24 hours.
Because they hadn't said that, but I just told everybody in our viewing audience that it was at crest last night at like 11 o'clock. And that Cincinnati was already starting to fall, very little, not a lot, and then it was already beginning to fall more quickly up in Maysville and Meldal. So, and I guess most people don't realize that, but really when you're looking at flood forecasting, it's like there's a bulge in the water, okay? And we're exaggerating, but that big like dome in the water just moves downstream, and all you've got to do is get an idea about the slope or how high it is, and that's the way, before there were computers and computer models, that's the way you forecast the arrival of flood stage in that. So
I had some folks asking about why the Ohio River is still, at least with regards to Tuesday, was still rising, even though all the other creeks and streams and such were falling. It's because you got to consider not just the rivers and creeks and tributaries in the Fox 19 hour viewing area, but also West Virginia, Eastern Kentucky, all the areas that had all that rain, all that water has to go somewhere, and that explains why it's so muddy.
Well, and that's like that was the winter weather advisory that's no longer in effect. But in 1937 flood, most people associate big Ohio River floods with snowmelt, and that was not the case in 1937. It was all rain. Cincinnati that month had 13.68 inches of rainfall in 1 month, and it was the same all over the Ohio River basin. So way up into Ohio, way down into eastern Kentucky, into West Virginia, and all that water had to run off, and so that's exactly what happens. You've got Ohio Brush Creek, you've got the Licking River, you've got Kentucky River, but that's downstream from Cincinnati. And those all drain in there, and something drains into them. And that's one of the hardest things for river forecasters. They not only have to know how much rain fell, but how far is it from the Ohio River. So when you put all that together, and I think they do a very good job.
Oh, yeah, excellent job. And I'll tell you what, when you look at it on the camera, obviously you can't really tell at night, but during the day, it looks like a big old vase of chocolate milk. From all the mud and everything else, all the clay that it's run through,
right?
From just the runoff and things like that. But.
Well, and the years before computerization, and I had started in TV weather by then, they basically just had what they called hydrographs. These are graphs of the river at different years and different stages and all that, and they would try and factor in the water. But then they began to computerize it, and a lot of the computerization and a lot of the programs for the Ohio River Forecast Center were written by a guy from Cincinnati. He used to work for me at another TV station, Mark Fenbers, retired from the River Forecast Center, and he did a lot of the programming for that stuff. So, and I think I saw a Facebook post. I think he might live in Loveland now, where I grew up. But
that's pretty cool.
But Mark retired from the Ohio River Forecast Center and did a lot of the programming as they modernized the Ohio River Forecast Center. Okay, look at those temperatures right now. We're looking at temperatures 14 in Richmond. I call Richmond the cold pole of the Midwest. I'm not really sure. But if you really look at it, Richmond is actually out of our viewing area. But if you look at it as the crow flies, the airport that we have labeled as Richmond is actually closer to Connorsville than it is to Richmond. Yeah. On a straight line basis. So if you're in Connorsville or Liberty, you can pretty much consider that pretty close to what you've got up there, very within a good degree of accuracy. Lunken's at 20, everybody else in the teens. Oops, wrong button. I do that all the time. Look at those wind chills. Oh. So I do that too.
There we go.
Wind chills in Richmond is 1, it's 8 in Oxford, 10 in Hamilton, 6 at Lunken, 5 at CVG. Now, one of the things people don't realize is that 5 at CVG, that's based on the 10-meter anemometer, right?
Yeah.
So that makes it look actually colder than it really is at ground level. But and some of the airports don't have anemometers that high, because if you look sometimes at our personal weather station maps, the wind chills aren't nearly as bad because they're looking at anemometers that are closer to the ground. However, you can be exposed to the wind, and so just be aware that if you go out, it's going to be cold this evening. All right, the next 2 days, I'm not sure what's going to come up here because I told you I just got here.
Yeah, it's pretty quiet.
Nothing going on. Look at that. Well, we don't see any 50s or 60s. We can skip that because that's an old graphic from yesterday. Let's go back to the satellite radar loop here. It'll take a few seconds to reload. And you can see, do you have any flurries in the forecast overnight? I already saw the clearing out to the west.
Yeah, so what we've got is maybe a few flurries to our north and eastern counties. So you see right here, this pull from Lake Michigan a little bit, and you can see it's really close. Right here is the Wilmington radar.
So is Berrysville going to get any?
Not really.
Okay.
I feel like this is mostly going to be towards like Sabina, New Vienna, Greenfield, Leesburg, Lynchburg area maybe. But it is going to be cut off at some point because there's a high pressure right here, and it's just, I'll show you.
This is just the margin of the high pressure system.
Yeah. But temperatures in Chicago are warmer than it is in Cincinnati right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so this high pressure, that dry, cold air is just slicing right through that cloud base.
Okay, so let's see. Let's do there it is. There's the box zoom. And you can see it a little closer to this. So, yeah, you're right near the, so.
So like right in here, but, well, I guess Berrysville might have a flurry or two, but that's about it.
Why is Berrysville important?
That's where I'm from. So my dad's, right now my dad is probably having the wood-burning stove on high.
Ooh.
It's probably about 75, 78 degrees
Years ago, I had 2 wood-burning stoves in a house I owned, and I tell you what, I mean, it really heated things. However, my next door neighbor several years ago when I lived in Madisonville had wood burning stoves, and he said, wouldn't it be great if everybody heated their houses with wood? And I said, yeah, it wouldn't be so great because everybody would be choking on the air pollution, and then all the trees would be gone. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
because it's not, and I'm not knocking people who use wood burning stoves. I'm just, it's not as efficient as like natural gas or anything like that.
For sure. And for what my dad's purpose is of using it, it's a lot cheaper than propane, and we have a large wooded area where we only chop wood that's from falling trees. We don't actively cut a tree.
Oh, you're managing the forest.
Exactly.
So
forest managers are very smart.
And so I had one on the first floor and I had one in the basement, and I had built a brick wall to make sure there was no, and then that hot air got pulled into the furnace system downstairs, and it really helped heat the house. So
Yeah.
But-
So our house is a giant basement at my dad's. It's an unfinished home, and the wood burning stove connects to the furnace pipe, so the heat goes right in it just as if it's the furnace. So.
And I was always nice because as I bought my first chainsaw and I went out and I went to construction sites and asked permission. And back then, if they knocked down a tree, they just wanted to get rid of it. They didn't. But now everybody, they know it's worth something. So
Yeah.
down to 11 overnight. What were you going to say?
I was going to let people
Thank
see
you.
that way.
Okay.
That way they at least knew the temperatures at 7 a.m.
7 a.m. 12, the overnight low 11. But notice the wind; it's lighter, so the wind chill will diminish overnight. And we've got temperatures making it up to 30 tomorrow.
Yeah, 31.
Okay.
So I know earlier today we had the forecast around 28, 29. I think we get a little bit warmer because that high as it moves off to the north end.
Yeah, well, you said it's already warmer in Chicago, so
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, low 30s, and it's just going to progressively get warmer as we head into early next week.
All right, now the 7-day forecast. Oh, FC Cincinnati's
I was
playing.
going to say, yeah, I honestly, admittedly, I forgot about that match coming up on Saturday. It's the home opener of the season. They're playing New York Red Bulls.
Oh, the
Yeah,
Red Bulls.
7:30.
I wonder what their favorite drink is.
Monster. Yeah, the kickoff is 7:30, and I think the kickoff temperature I put on the graphic was 32.
Okay.
So, still cold, but definitely better than right now.
But I am just still flat out amazed how we went from having minor league soccer, and it really is the fan base that turned it around. Of course, the Lindners, to obviously, I mean, since they paid for the stadium without asking for taxpayers to pay for it and all that, they were obviously dedicated to it. But it was one of those things that the fan base encouraged the investment, and then the investment encouraged the fan base. And it's one of those things that they fed off each other. Turned into an amazing program already. So Cincinnati's on the soccer map around the world. So
let's just hope the football and baseball follow.
okay, so do we have beyond? Yeah, we do. We have the beyond the 7-day. Look at that. So at the end of the 7-day, let's go back to that. I wasn't even looking at it, to tell you the truth. This is a casual day of weather. We usually do a little bit more than this. The end of the 7-day, so we've got 250s and a high in the upper 40s. Those 350s. We've got, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4 days above normal, right? 47 is still above normal by Thursday.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's 4 days above normal. And then we go back to reality, something around normal, maybe a little bit below normal on Friday, but 50 for Saturday, and then not bad. So no big, massive cold air outbreaks. Keep your shorts and your sandals in the drawer. They don't need to come out yet, unless you're really tough and you like that. And it still looks very active, so rain, snow, mixed chances coming in. And it looked, yesterday when I did this, it looked like the chances would increase as we headed into the first week of March.
Well, depending on the model you look at, they're kind of going back and forth.
Yeah.
And we're putting daily chances, even though if you look at one model, the American model, it has it happening on, say, Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, and then the European model has it the other day.
So it's really just a matter of timing.
It's a timing situation, and I think that's going to influence temperatures to a degree, and that's why we've bumped up the temperatures just a little bit compared to yesterday, because the timing of when those systems move in. And
so those days you see that the Saturday through Thursday, that doesn't mean it's going to rain each and every day. That means there's a chance each day. Some days may not have any rain at all. Some days only a few spots may get rain. But we're not talking about building an ark, is what I'm saying. Okay, let's go ahead.
I will say something about the 7-day plus I was happy of making is the average high for March 6th.
50 degrees. All
Yeah.
right. We're back to 50 degrees. That's nice. And look at and the thing is below normal by the 6th of March is a lot different than below normal in the end of January. So.
Oh, absolutely. And tell you what, today is just a subtle reminder that winter's not over just yet.
Well, and, what's interesting though is we have two relatively new people here at Fox 19. Alexis, is it Cruz? Alexis Cruz.
Alexis Cruz. Yeah, we have two Alexises.
So Alexis Cruz, who came from Florida, she's a lifelong resident of Florida.
Yeah.
And what a winter to start coming to head north. And then we've got Gabby in sports.
Devin Sorrentino.
Sorrentino, yeah, and she's lived most of her life in California, and it's like, whoa! I said, don't worry, it's not like this every winter. So
When on Sunday night when she was in studio, when I was showing the 7-day for this week and how cold it was going to be, death stares from her and Reagan. Even though Reagan's from Michigan, but still.
yeah, but did she go to school in California also?
No, Reagan went to school at Michigan State.
Oh, okay, so it's nothing for her. so there you see it. We're going to be flirting with normal on the high side and the low side, and that means as we head into March, and again, kind of active out there. Okay, let me check out Facebook. See if we.
Oh yeah, we've been rambling.
Yeah, I know that.
How is right now? Whoa, we've been going on for more than 20 minutes now.
I know, and I'm going to have to cut it short tonight. So you know how, geez, I've got so much to do. Jeannie Marie says, I don't know if the
Rock.
I don't know. I thought at first it was thumbs up, and I don't know if it means BS. Is what that when I was a kid that meant. It wasn't the Texas Longhorns. It meant,
Oh.
So Jeannie, we're not sure what you mean, but I don't know if you like snow or you don't like snow.
I think Jeannie says that she likes the snow.
Okay. Okay, Serdwit, something about it.
LOL. But just a lot of O's.
Okay. I hope we're having a good night. It seems like we're having a pretty good night, although I'm sure Ethan wants to go home. He doesn't want to be sitting here talking to me at this point. But Michael Scaparati.
Oh, that's a spam.
Not anymore. It's going to be banned. There, Michael, if I banned you and you are
You can't
mad.
hear us now.
If I ban Michael and Michael, tell him he can call me and let me know that I shouldn't have banned him. Allie Commodore says, Happy Thursday. Thanks, Allie. You too. Betty Plyman. I don't know if it's Plyman or Pleeman, but Betty, hi. Hello to you. And Jewel Harrington.
Is the snow finally over?
That's what I'm guessing she's saying.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, David Dickerson. My wife's appointment went well. Yeah, they finally unwrapped it. And we got to see it. She actually has 4 pins in the side of her hand, and I forget which side. So it's her right hand. So I guess they're out here. Yeah. And when the doctor looked at the X-rays, he said, if you wanted to break your hand and do it really right, you did it. So she broke it in 3 spots, and
wow.
One of the bones, with the little finger got jammed, so one of the bones got, so they had to move that all around. So, but it went well. They built a custom-built brace for her to wear that can easily be taken off because it's Velcroed. So when she takes a shower and that, they had to check for infections because she's got 4 pins and 2 screws in her hand now. I think the screws are permanent, but. Okay, you want to answer Betty's question? Are we done with the snow? She's so done with the snow.
Well, first of all, second, I wouldn't count it out completely yet, but any kind of winter storm scenarios, I feel like aren't quite as present as they were, say, a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Just because the current pattern setup we're going to be falling into is where we're going to have these days that are warm enough to where if we do get any kind of snow, it'll melt within the day. And
at this time of year, once we get things warmed up, like the ground and that warmed up, it's hard to go back.
Yeah, especially with how soggy things are, it'll be.
And this is the La Nina pattern that they were talking about being massive all winter long, which didn't happen, and that's why it's been so cold. Yeah, and Betty says, hope your wife is doing okay. Yeah, my wife's tough. She's not the kind of person that'll sit around. She was up the day she got home from having surgery. She was walking around doing stuff. So and she's in a little pain, but she's fine. And Darla Watson says the same thing. Hope my wife's doctor's appointment went well. Yeah, it went very well. So she's well on the way to retirement. And so winter wants to hold on tight, says Susan Wally. Yeah, Susan, I'm afraid it does. Oh, and she said it was cold feeding the animals tonight. So.
Oh, gosh, I could not imagine.
I had a really good friend years ago who grew up on a farm in Owen County, Kentucky. And they, back then it was tobacco before they bought all the tobacco base out. Mm-hmm. And then they also had cattle. And she used to tell when her dad had to go out when it was below zero to the ponds and chop ice so the cows could get through and get water. And that's really dangerous. You're standing there, you've got to stand out a few feet on it. You got to chop that ice, and if you hit it wrong, it shatters. You can go in. So I know it's farmers are tough, and people that have livestock and animals and that, and you've got to keep them, keep them well fed and warm in weather like this. That's a tough job.
It is.
Yeah. Eugene Kendall Bradford. He says he doesn't like this cold weather. Is that he or she? Sometimes I don't know first names, but Eugene, the cold weather's here for a little while, but we're heading in the right direction. Lisa Harrison Smith says, thanks for your hard work. You're welcome. And she's ready for spring to sprung. And
well,
go ahead.
What I was going to say is I brought this up. My days are all messed up, too, because my normal days off are Monday, Tuesday, and I was working both those days. But I think it was Tuesday morning. We were talking about flowers. And is it daffodils, those yellow flowers that grow alongside
they come out for early and first? Yeah,
I was going to say, because it's almost that time of year to see daffodils.
Yeah, especially on the south slopes.
Yep.
You'll see them where there's a lot of sun. And that's what's really interesting about, I tore the grass out of we had so much just junk, invasive stuff in our front yard. And I don't want to use chemicals. I just tore it all out, and I planted native wildflowers, and my wildflowers were up like 6 weeks early last year because they're right in the south side of the house, and there's the two-story house that is a light color yellow, so it reflects a lot of the sunlight. So the plants are getting sunlight from all directions all day long. And it's a little microclimate, so they were up like weeks before anybody else's were.
Yeah.
But and it's the same thing, and why I brought that up is why did I bring that up? So there are a lot of microclimates around, and so people, one side of your house is snowy and icy, and the other side is sunny and nice. So, oh yeah, I like that. Chad Gutzweiler says one thing he likes about winter is the cold, clear, crisp nights with a bit of a snowpack. Loves stargazing in the winter sky, and it's the perfect kind of weather for astrophotography. It's one of my hobbies. I haven't done any Milky Way photography for years. I do the moon and some stars and occasionally some of the planets when I can set it up. But those clear, crisp nights with low humidity, with not a lot of wind upstairs, so you don't get what they call it scintillation. That's why the stars twinkle. It's because the atmosphere is just moving around. You can get some really nice shots.
You have to visit Berrysville sometimes because as a kid, you could see the Milky Way clear. And then, in fact, middle of summer, we would sit on my dad's roof and sit up and watch it for hours. You could actually see satellites.
Yeah. Now, when I was a kid, I grew up in Loveland. Okay, Loveland. We moved into Loveland in 1957. Anybody that's from Loveland or been to Loveland, you've gone to the Dairy Whip there on West Loveland Avenue. I got my first ice cream cone there on my birthday in 1957. I was 4 years old. But what we used to do when I was like 10 years old, we all had our transistor radios. Believe it or not, transistor radios. That was a big thing. And so like 4 or 5 of us would listen. When the Reds were on the West Coast, we would listen to the Reds game. We would lay out in somebody's front yard and look at the stars and wait. And back then they used to publish when they'd have sonic booms when a jet was breaking the sound barrier. And so it was a great thing as a kid just to do that. But that part of Highland County is dark. Adams County is dark. But one of the darkest spots in this part of the world for astrophotography is Lewis County. And it's amazing. It's because it's a big county and there aren't a lot of people there. Okay. Betty says she'll miss me. Betty, I tell you what, my retirement was going to be the 13th of March. Then my retirement turned into the last day of May. My retirement has now been moved back to the 28th of August because of organizational things we have to do here at the station. And Betty says she wants highs in the 70s and 80s.
Not anytime soon.
Have to head to Florida. Or to, if you watched our show, Joe Danneman, 75 degrees the other day.
Although he's back here now, and I don't think he's as happy as he was.
Because he hi, this is Joe Danneman in the 75 degree sunshine from, So, okay.
Good year, yeah.
Garnet Rothwell says he likes us chit-chatting. So.
Oh, thanks, Garnet. Appreciate that.
Okay. Anything else?
I
think it's time to shut her down for the night.
I was going to say, I'm ready to go home and...
Yeah, you've worked a long day, and I'm only working part of the day.
I got to clock an extra 30 minutes.
Okay, well, that's it. Thanks for joining us. Have yourself a nice night. I'll be back at 7:15 tomorrow, and we'll talk about the weekend and what goes on after that. The one thing I didn't show that I usually show is I show the Climate Prediction Center stuff. So give me 1 minute to call. It's that one right there. And we'll just go through the... So this is just like yesterday. We had the 6 to 10 day outlook. Yesterday they had us near normal. So that's near normal. You're looking at your watch, Ethan. You have a date?
No, I just had a bunch of notifications come up. No, I'm too busy for dates right now.
Okay, so near normal temperature. So see that now that blue up to the north. Oh, I know what I did. I didn't turn any of these on. No wonder. Come on, Steve. I won't use that because it gets updated tomorrow. Okay, so now we'll start over here. All right, so the 6 to 10 day outlook I just showed you has us near normal. There we go, near normal. We go to the 8 to 14 day outlook. Same thing, colder than normal, but not much. I mean, the coldest of that. And then that'll move off to the north and east, and I think we'll see temperatures being near normal tomorrow when we do the 3 to 4 week. 6 to 10 day precipitation, near normal, and maybe a little, is that a little wetter than normal?
Yeah, it's wetter than normal.
A little wetter than normal as we head into the 6th of March. So it's doing pretty much what we just told you. So to review your 7-day forecast, and then we'll shut it down. Tonight's low 11, wind chills single digits above 0, 31 the high tomorrow. 14 and 35, you have something there? Oh, okay. 14 and 35 for Saturday. Good night for, is that an evening game for FC Cincinnati?
Yeah, 7:30 kickoff.
7:30 kickoff should be a nice frosty night. Good night to cheer and jump up and down and stay warm. 41, 50, and 51 as we head into Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. 52 on Wednesday with a slight chance of a shower, and then scattered showers and 47 for Thursday. And one more quick look at beyond the 7-day. And so the takeaway here is that there is no big Arctic air mass outbreak coming our way and no early spring arrival coming our way either. So that's it. Thank you for joining us. We had a good time talking to you. I'll be back tomorrow, and Ethan's off, a well-deserved off day. So have yourself a nice night.